And I said, UFOs are as real as the airplanes flying overhead. That gave me the dubious distinction of being the first person of cabinet rank in the G8 group of countries to say so unequivocally. In the 1960s sometime, it was a flotilla of UFOs headed south that crossed into NATO territory in Europe. And the commander-in-chief of the Supreme Allied headquarters in Europe was naturally very shaken. Fortunately, or maybe divine providence, before the panic button was pushed, the flotilla turned around and headed back. Obviously, they had thought maybe they were Russian, and they were very concerned about it. Anyway, an investigation was launched into this whole subject, and a document was prepared which concluded that at least 4 species had been visiting Earth for thousands of years. And this is my own view at this stage as well. So, in Springs, in Nevada, and these tall whites were living on United States Air Force property and working in cooperation with the United States Air Force and sharing technology with them. He wrote a book, incidentally, called Millennial Hospitality.
Do you believe in life on other planets?
Oh yes, there's not much question at all, but there's life throughout the universe. We're not alone in the universe at all.
You're convinced that we're not alone in the universe?
Oh, I know for sure we're not alone in the universe. And I happen to be privileged enough to have been on the fact that we have been visited on this planet. And the UFO phenomenon is real, although it's been covered up by our governments for quite a long time. It is a real phenomenon. And there's quite a few of us. It's been well covered up by all of our governments for the last 60 years or so. But slowly it's leaked out, and some of us are privileged to have been briefed on some of it. But I've also been in military circles and intelligence circles that knows beneath the surface of what has
In 1945, an earthenware jar was dug up in a cave west of the Nile near the village of Nag Hammadi, Egypt. Contained in this jar were papyrus scrolls and codices wrapped in leather of biblical text dating back to around 400 AD. Translations of these Nag Hammadi scrolls revealed a body of early Christian teachings that are considered to be Gnostic in character. In other words, these texts contain gospels that had escaped censorship or revision by the Church of Rome, unedited gospels that in fact repudiated the authority of Orthodox Christian doctrine, posing a theological threat which clearly provided an imperative to keep them hidden from Roman clergy. From the Greek word gnosis, meaning knowledge, Gnostic thought insisted upon direct and personal, first-hand religious or mystical experience with deity, and vehemently rejected dogmas, creeds, and clerics, or any superfluous intercessors between man and God, an unwelcome posture for Vatican authority. Yet contained within these lost texts is an exotic description of the origins of Earth and the human species that serious religious scholars dismiss as mythological science fiction, a fantastic and disturbing description of cosmology that reveals an intrusion upon Earth humanity by malevolent, parasitic, extraterrestrial invaders, who use Earth humans as puppets in a vast, centuries-old game of deception and domination. And how do the Gnostic texts describe these invaders? Referred to as archons, they come in two distinct types: an aggressive reptilian humanoid and smaller passive creatures resembling a prematurely formed fetus.
Certainly no one could have been unaware of those strange stories that we now told. Rumors about something being dug up in the hills. I never heard these stories much frequently.
Since this initiative will enrich a wide range of people, including those who have yet to find a response to their spiritual learning, to the knowledge and love of Jesus Christ, whose message of good news the Church bears to the ends of the promote the search for the true, the good, and the beautiful, transcending geographical boundaries and ethnic division.
Loud and clear. 7, go ahead.
I'll talk to you at 10 o'clock high.
This is Houston. Say again, 7.
I said we have a curfew at 10 o'clock high.
An object which is at the same place all the time and appears to be tumbling. Well, we've had it ever since yesterday. It just seems to be tagging along with us.
Houston, this is Discovery. We still have the alien spacecraft under the turret.
Nephilim.
God destroyed the Nephilim's bodies and doomed them to wander the earth in an invisible dimension, and they are still terrifying men. In our modern paradigm, they are known as demon spirits. The word, demon, is from the Greek language and means knowledge. The demon knowledge is greater than man's. The Bible tells of their creation in Genesis chapter 6, and they were the cause of the destruction of life on earth. The Apocrypha and early Jewish writings expound on these evil spirits. The Book of Enoch tells of their giant stature and how they manipulated the genetics of man and animals, in every imaginable way. In other words, no stone was left unturned in their evil experiments.
The answer to all this and the clue to this cosmic riddle may be found in the ancient book of Genesis. And back there in chapter 6, we are told of a very amazing and bizarre event. The sons of God saw the daughters of men and saw that they were beautiful, and they lusted after them. And then we read they married them and sired children from them. For the past 1500 years, most scholars, including evangelical scholars, have interpreted the sons of God as the good sons of Seth, and the daughters of men as the wicked daughters of Cain. They've adopted that interpretation because the other one is so bizarre and outlandish. The ancient interpretation, and in my opinion the correct one, is that the sons of God were demonic beings or fallen angels, and that they came down to earth, they lusted after the daughters of men, they married them, and produced this amazing progeny, this hybrid progeny of the Nephilim. And the very word Nephilim does not mean giants. It comes from the root Nephal, fallen ones. The early Christian fathers in the first 4 centuries, men like Irenaeus, Tertullian, Ambrose, for 400 years they knew no other interpretation except that the sons of God were angelic beings. Josephus, the cosmopolitan Jewish historian, says the same thing.
Many of the artifacts that they've left us resemble what we would call today a modern-day gray alien. Large bulbous head, large eyes, spindly limbs, very thin bodies.
During his invasion of Asia, the mighty leader, Alexander the Great, is chronicled as witnessing UFOs. These incidents were officially written by his personal historian, Callisthenes of Olynthus. While crossing a river in 329 before Christ, Alexander and his men observed what is described as gleaming silver shields in the sky. The objects repeatedly swooped down on a column of soldiers, scattering men and horses in a panic. 7 years later, while attacking the Phoenician city of Tyre in the eastern Mediterranean, Alexander again encounters UFOs. Recorded by observers on both sides of the down a beam of light at the city wall, which crumbles into dust, allowing Alexander and his troops to easily breach the defenses and take the city. These flying silver shields description fit perfectly with the common UFO report of flying saucers. The beam of light is also significant because it corresponds to the many thousands of modern-day reports, especially the abduction accounts. In my documentary, The Nephilim, I unveil the evidence which connects the Greek gods with what the Hebrews call evil spirits, now called demons by Christians.